and one day she wasn't there.
Oh, well, okay. Um, when my mother was cooking, especially in her later years, I was always there to help her. I was at her side. And mainly it was like, put in the salt or do this or do that. But I was watching what she was doing. And I, so I didn't think too much about, I thought, yeah, I could do what she's doing because I know what she's doing. I see what she's doing. And one day she told me that this Armenian gal told her, don't give her recipes. When you get old, she'll put you in a old home's place. If she gets married and she has a family, she's going to want your cooking. So don't give her your recipes. But so my mother's telling me that it's a joke or something, or we're laughing about that. And then I thought, I'm going to start writing her recipes down. So what I've written down is the ingredients for each dish. Because my mother never had, achki chop. Everything was achki chop. Well, my recipes don't taste like my mother's because I don't have that same, just putting in the right ingredients that you have to put in. But I have the ingredient for that dish, but I can never repeat. I could still flavor her cooking. And so then, knowing that I'm, not, my cooking isn't, I'm cooking for my dad now. My mother died earlier. And not to, in the beginning, my dishes were tasting right. But it got to the point I'd lost touch with how much salt, how much this, how much that. And it's really just, the salt and the spices. And so I wanted to turn around and say, Ma, how much do I put in? I really felt that in my head. I got to turn around and ask her, how much shall I put in like I used to? And, she no longer was there. And she had died like a month or two before. So I just, hey, I was surprised I had forgotten her recipes. Secondly, it shocked me. This is, she's only died a couple of weeks ago. And my thing doesn't, my pilav doesn't taste like when she made it. And so I got scared. And I thought, my father's stories that I've always heard, I'm going to forget those. It was mainly the funny stories that he used to tell. And basically, what happened to him, I think I would have remembered. But it was the funny tales and just certain other things. I thought, I'm going to forget those. And just for myself. And then at that time, when my mother was sick, I had people coming in because she died in the house. I had a variety of Armenians coming in to help us because I had round-the-clock help. This one gal was still here, breaking in. I think I wanted her to be here, so if I have to go shopping, my father's not left alone. So when we start doing the book, at first I was going to do it in English, and then I thought, let her do it in Armenian. And, because it's in Armenian, and I never thought about, let her do it. So she did about a few pages, And then I said, okay, read it back. Let me see if it sounds like my dad. So as she's reading it back, amazingly, she sounded like my dad because by now she had acquired my dad's way of talking. The spelling was not right, but the talking was right. And I realized she's writing in Armenian. I'm not going to be able to read it when she's not here. So I told my dad, okay, we got to start all over again. So we started all over again. And she was writing in Armenian. I was writing in English. I was doing it in such a way, awkwardly, exactly what he's saying, because I knew very well I couldn't say what he didn't say. I couldn't switch what he was saying. I knew that. I don't care how it sounds, but I can't change his words, the contents of what he's saying. So at night, when he had gone to bed, he would go to bed at 9. After that, I would try to make it sound, put it more phrase it in the proper English. Trying to keep, many times, and this is something also that I had lost sight of. When I was in the 12th grade, I'd written a composition, and the teacher was there. It was a phrase where it was, what word do you put in front of the other? And she kept saying, no, it sounds better. It's more correct this way. And I says, but I understand it this way. This way is right. And I did know about what do you call that? In English grammar. Syntax. Yeah. The difference of our syntax. See, in my ear, when I'm doing it in English, the Armenian syntax seems right to me. It sounds exactly what I'm saying, even though I'm speaking English. My syntax stayed the same. And I remember that in the 12th grade, forgot about it since, until I start, thinking about the book and what I'm doing here. And when we're translating the letters, now the guy that is translating the letters, he was educated in Mekonian, so he knows Armenian very well. But he was using, in its translation, the English syntax. Now I would have Seta, when the paper would come back, Seta would read the paper and I would read it.
Sarah, is it okay if I stop you here?
Let me finish this one thing.
Okay.
So when we were reading, Leon had put it in the English syntax, and I would turn it to the Armenian syntax. I said, it sounds better this way. But it's my father's speech, and you could read it, and it makes sense. A lot of my translation, that was a problem. Which syntax do I use? Sometimes I leave in the Armenian, sometimes and that could bother people, but I'm leaving it that way. So.
We're done.
Yeah.
How did you feel?